Throughout my clinical experience this semester, I was able to learn a great deal of information and understand the true importance of therapeutic communication. I found this semester's rotation very substantial due to the constant overlap that occurred. Therefore, I found that I was able to learn more through repetition, and the overall cohesiveness made the experience more rewarding. During the semester, I was able to complete my psych clinicals at Holyoke Medical Center. Although I was nervous at the beginning of the year and not sure what to expect from this rotation, I was ready to immerse myself in the experience. During one of my first clinical days on the floor, I was paired with the charge nurse for the evening rotation. She was assigned contacts with various patients, and I was able to go in with her in the afternoon to speak to one of the patients. The patient was a 19-year-old female who identified as bisexual. She attended college in Western Massachusetts and stated that she enjoyed what she was studying in school. While my nurse was speaking to the patient as I observed their conversation, she was pulled aside by another staff member. The charge nurse then told me that I could stay in the room and speak to the patient if I wanted. Although it was early on in the semester, I wanted to step out of my comfort zone and attempt my first individual contact. I was able to speak to her about her time in college, her culture, and her stance on LGBTQ views. I asked her why she decided to attend her specific college, and she stated that it was because she wanted to be away from home. Then I asked her about her cultural background, and she went on to discuss that she came from a Pakistani home and that her parents were mostly traditional. Lastly, when she brought up that she identified as bisexual and that her parents mostly did not approve of it, I proceeded to ask her how that made her feel. She stated that it did make her sad because she wanted more unconditional support from her family like her older sister received. After a few minutes of conversation, she brought up the fact that she had been struggling with mental health issues primarily since high school, and stated that I wish I had come here when I was struggling. I remember in that moment when I froze, I tried to think of something to say, and said, "But it's good that you're here now." Throughout this semester, however, I was able to learn a quite deal of information, and my experience with the psychiatric nursing coursework had prepared me to make better and more therapeutic interactions with the patients. For example, this new understanding came to me this semester in a multitude of ways. Firstly, the constant observation and repetitive practice with communicating with my patients each week at clinical was able to help me come up with my own style of communications. On these lines, I was able to find an article from 2017 by S. Ingram titled Taking a Comprehensive Health History, Learning Through Practice and Reflection. In this article, the importance of reflective practice is discussed, in which learning from experience is stressed. The article further demonstrates how, in this scenario, a recorded comprehensive health history simulation alongside a reflection period enhances clinical practice. Therefore, I believe I was able to observe how nurses on the floor perform therapeutic communication, and I was able to reflect upon what I saw and took away from the experience in my journals, and then perform therapeutic communication individually in order to learn and enhance my overall experience. Secondly, the video that we watched in class of the role play between two female students helped me visualize and learn how a therapeutic conversation should occur. Then, the journal entries and case study helped me better understand therapeutic communication because I was able to write out my thoughts and think about what I had said or should have said in a contact. I found the process recordings very beneficial for me to complete, which allowed me to go back into my thoughts and think about how to better state something. Along those lines, the case study assignment helped me fully re engage how I would speak to a patient through a more in depth process recording. Lastly, I found the expert training to be very helpful because we were able to receive a thorough presentation and complete an interactive simulation which helped me immensely when I had to choose what I would say to a patient. Overall, I believe that a multitude of components in my psychiatric nursing coursework has helped me gain new knowledge on communicating better with patients. Therefore, if I was presented with the opportunity to experience the interaction again, I'd be better prepared. I would speak in a more reassuring tone in order to make sure she felt comfortable. I would then ask her questions about her college experience, but I would allow her to elaborate more instead of asking her question after question. For example, I would repeat back to her that I understood that she wanted to be away from home, but I would then ask her why she felt that way instead of dismissing her thoughts. Then, once she began talking about her culture, I would have asked her how she felt about her upbringing and very briefly discussed my background in order to gain better rapport. Lastly, when she brought up her sexuality and comparison of herself to her older sister, I would have used that information to ask her about her familial relationships. Furthermore, when she stated that I wish I'd come in here when I was struggling in high school, I would have utilized the therapeutic communication of offering self and giving recognition by stating, "I'm sorry you had to go through these emotions alone back then. I'm really glad you're here now, talking about your feelings and letting us help you get through them." Overall, in my nursing practice, I'll make sure that I utilize therapeutic communication in every encounter I have with a patient in any type of healthcare setting. Throughout the semester, I've learned that psychiatric nursing is everywhere and not just in psych units. Mental health concerns can be brought up in any healthcare setting, and I was able to utilize my therapeutic communication psych nursing skills in both pediatrics and in maternity throughout the semester. Furthermore, I will make sure to keep an open mind and learn from others and ask for assistance when needed in my nursing practice. Ultimately, I am more confident on what I have learned this semester and feel better prepared to go into the healthcare field upon graduation.